Hello. Welcome to the next in the series of review clips designed to assist you in preparation for your Biology 301 public examination. In this clip, we'll be examining in detail the process of fertilization and implantation. Fertilization is the process whereby the sperm meets the egg and genetic material, chromosomes, is mixed. Half the complete set comes from each parent, giving you one complete set. Implantation, on the other hand, is the process whereby the embryo, the fertilized egg, becomes embedded within the uterine lining. The process of fertilization occurs when sperm from the semen from testicle male pass through the vas deferens and out through the urethra, all the while picking up fluid as it moves along. It then becomes deposited into the vagina of a female. The sperm then swims up through the cervix of a female and into the uterus. Sperm will continue to swim up in the oviduct where an egg is supposed to be waiting. An egg, at the same time, will be released from the ovary, that being the process of ovulation, and it too passes through the oviduct. Well, in the oviduct, it unites with the sperm to become fertilized. At the moment of conception, when a sperm meets an egg, the acrosome of the sperm will release a powerful enzyme. This enzyme is hyaluronidase. This enzyme digests a portion of the egg membrane. The sperm's nucleus is deposited inside the egg, and it releases chromosomes, which are then united with the chromosomes of the egg to yield the zygote. Post-fertilization, the zygote, which is now an embryo, undergoes a series of distinct stages as it continues to develop. The first of these is cleavage. Cleavage is a series of cell divisions without growth in an embryo. The cells become smaller and smaller, and this occurs immediately after fertilization. After cleavage, it now enters the morula stage. Here, the embryo exists as a solid mass of identical cells. It's created from the continued division of cells in the embryo. Following the morula, it now forms what's known as a blastocyst. As a blastocyst, the embryo now exists as a hollow ball of identical cells. This is created from the repeated cell divisions. The blastocyst is comprised of an inner cell mass and an outer cell mass. The inner cell mass will develop into the baby, whereas the other cell mass, which is the trophoplast, gives rise to the germ layers. The gastrula is next in the sequence, and the embryo will now exist as a ball of cells with distinct cell layers known as germ layers. During this stage, the cells of the embryo will begin to grow and rearrange themselves into three distinct layers. This process is known as gastrulation. The three germ layers in turn are ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. The endoderm is the inner layer. It forms the digestive and respiratory tracts. The ectoderm is the outside layer. It forms the skin and nervous system of the baby. The middle layer, the mesoderm, forms the muscles, bones, and many organs. In summary, we can look at embryonic development as follows. The initial stage is, of course, fertilization. Following fertilization, cleavage begins, rapid cell division without growth, eventually forming the morula. This all occurs within the oviduct. Cleavage continues from the morula. Eventually it forms the blastocyst, that being the hollow ball of cells. This blastocyst will then implant into the uterus. Following the implantation, the blastocyst will begin to undergo gastrulation, differentiation, where it will form the gastrula, which contains the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. The embryonic membranes are also developed. These embryonic membranes are a series of membranes that surround, nourish, and protect the developing embryo. They are known as primary membranes. Please note that these membranes, the primary membranes, are not part of the embryo. They develop from the germ layers, from the trophoblast. These layers include the chorion, which is the outermost layer of cells of the embryo. This becomes the placenta. There's the placenta, which exchanges nutrients and waste between embryo and mother. There's the allantois and yolk sac. These parts, the allantois and yolk sac, develop into the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord connects the fetus to the placenta. And there's the amnion. This membrane will develop into the amniotic membrane. And the embryonic membrane is a thin membrane that surrounds the fetus. It contains amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid serves to protect the fetus and absorb shocks. Sometimes, with differentiating, during differential embryos, twins may form. Twins are babies that are born at approximately the same time, or at least during the same pregnancy. There are two types of twins. The first of these is fraternal twins. Fraternal twins are created when two separate eggs are fertilized in the female by two separate sperm. Fraternal twins can be of the same or opposite sex. They are no more alike than any other set of siblings. And there's also identical twins. Identical twins are twins created when one sperm fertilizes one egg. The blastocyst will split for some reason into two separate bodies early in development. This results in two embryos with exactly the same DNA. Because their DNA is identical, the twins must be of the same sex as a result. There are chemicals which can have an impact on development. These chemicals are known as teratogens. A teratogen is any chemical or agent that causes structural abnormality due to fetal exposure during pregnancy. Some examples include cigarette smoke, alcohol, and various prescription drugs. Cigarette smoke constricts fetal blood vessels, preventing it from getting oxygen. As a result, babies typically are underweight, and they can suffer from convulsions. Alcohol can also have an impact on the developing fetus. Alcohol affects the fetus's brain, its central nervous system, and physical development. Babies can be born with fetal alcohol syndrome, and these babies typically display mental delays, retardation, decreased height, weight, and head size, a malformed face, and they may have aggression and or various personality changes. Prescription drugs as well can exert an impact. Prescription drugs may have impacts on the developing fetus for a whole host of. Thalidomide provides a prime example of the impact that prescription drugs may have. During the 1950s, this was commonly prescribed to women to reduce morning sickness. One of the problems with that is because it impedes circulation, is that it actually caused babies to be born with missing or even deformed limbs. Other teratogens include X-rays, PCBs, heavy metals, are all teratogens. They can all cause birth defects and or abnormalities within the fetus. When development is concluded, the final stage is, of course, childbirth. Childbirth occurs when gestation is reached. Childbirth will begin. Childbirth occurs under the influence of hormones in 3 distinct stages. The first of these stages is known as dilation. During this stage, the pituitary gland will release oxytocin. Oxytocin causes the uterine muscles to contract. This begins the onset of labor. The cervix opens and dilates, gets larger, and the amniotic membranes rupture and amniotic fluid will be released. The dilation stage can last anywhere from 2 to 20 hours. and is one of the few examples of positive feedback in the human body. Contractions trigger the release of more oxytocin, which triggers more contractions. That is why during the pregnancy, during the delivery, during dilation stage, labor gets stronger and closer together. Following the dilation stage, it now enters the expulsion stage. Here, contractions by the uterus force the baby out through the cervix and into the birth canal, or vagina. The baby's head will rotate, making it easier for the baby to be delivered, and typically this lasts from anywhere from a half hour to 2 hours. The placental stage, the final stage, will occur about 15 minutes after birth. The placenta and umbilical cord are forced out through the vagina by contraction of the uterine muscles. The placenta is now turned to be after birth. Hormones are very much a part of pregnancy. Progesterone is secreted by the corpus luteum. This maintains the uterus during pregnancy. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, HCG. This hormone is released by the developing embryo, and it maintains the corpus luteum for the first 3 months of pregnancy. It helps to maintain the endometrium. In fact, HCG is a hormone detected by pregnancy tests. If HCG is positive, it confirms a pregnancy. Estrogen, another hormone involved with pregnancy. It works with progesterone to maintain the uterus during the pregnancy. And of course, there's also prolactin. Prolactin is released by the pituitary that causes milk to be produced in the mammary glands, breasts, after pregnancy. This allows a suckling baby to have milk. In the past public examinations, questions have been posed on this material, an example of which you see in front of you. This question reads, which structure does the allantois develop into? You'll recall that the allantois gives rise to the umbilical cord. This question asks, which structure is ruptured when a pregnant woman's water breaks during early labor? The yolk sac and the allantois combine part of the umbilical cord. The gastrula is one of the developing cell layers during embryonic development. The correct answer is B, the amnion. The amnion forms the amniotic sac, which contains the amniotic fluid. This question asks, which during embryonic development, what is the name given to the hollow ball of cells? The hollow ball of cells would be the blastula. A constructive response question on this material is as follows. In some cases, pelvic inflammatory disease develops when chlamydia is untreated. Although chlamydia has no permanent side effects, PID can permanently scar the fallopian tubes. Explain how this can affect a woman's fertility and list 2 technologies that can be used to overcome this problem. Correct answer, the woman will become infertile due to sperm blockage from the scar tissue. Solutions would include in vitro fertilization, surrogate motherhood, or surgery. For this question, 1% was given for saying the woman will be infertile, and 1% for a solution to the problem, for a total of 2%. Thank you very much for your patience, and I hope that you found this learning clip helpful in your review for your public examination.